Welcome to What's the Finish, our weekly podcast where we talk to experts and individuals just like you to discuss not only the flavors and finishes of spirits and foods, but also all the flavors life has to offer, along with the magnificent finishes they bring. So join our host, David Afariat, as he asks the question, what's the finish?
Hi, everybody, and welcome to What's the Finish, our podcast for avid vines, where we enjoy the flavors and tastes and lifestyles related around wine. I am pleased to have as my guest on this edition, Lucasz Kowojczyk, who is from London, but we'll find out exactly more of his background. But as a fine wine advisor based in London, Lucasz it comes to us with a world of knowledge that we want to peer into and understand. So, Lucasz, I'm very, very pleased to have you on as our guest. And how are you feeling today? What's your one word that you would describe how you feel at this moment?
Excellent.
You feel excellent. Perfect.
Why not? Life is short.
Life is short, so you might as well feel excellent.
Well, if you're not going to feel excellent now, then don't wait. Do it now.
That is great. I love that. So one of my favorite questions to kind of start off is people in this big, wide world of ours start in one place, but they're not always, where we meet them. But more than saying, where were you born? The question that I like to ask is, where did you learn how to drive? And the reason I ask is because when you learn how to drive, you have to really be aware of your surroundings and you become invested in your surroundings. And I get it. And though we're reaching you in London, I kind of suspect that that's not where you're from. So maybe you can tell us where you were born, where you learned how to drive, and then how you got to London.
I'm from Poland. I was born in a very tiny village called Mała. So just for orientation, this is sort of 50 kilometers, 1 hour drive from Krakow going south.
Okay.
Tiny village, 3,000 people, really. Nothing really, I've always grown up since I really remember around flavor and aroma. That was initially with cooking, learning, burning all the whatever I can and learning all basically very classical Polish cuisine. Go in that direction. So it was very clear to me, sort of 7-8-year-old. I already knew kind of that would be the route I'm going to pursue, so it's gastronomy. And when I was sort of 15, 16, that's where I started to work in a school. In Poland, there is two ways of doing it. The one I took is the one where you got 3 days, 4 days school, 2 days practice. So you start to work as sort of apprentice. That was just very fortunate. There was a 5-star hotel near where I live. And that's where I started to work. And actually, that was initially 2 years in the kitchen. But then that was the time when they were teaching you both as well in front of the house. And that's actually where I landed, to be more in the front of the house.
Plus, you stop burning things. I would imagine you stop burning things when you're
stop burning things and start carrying the plates, etc. And I like the part of actually creating the experience and hosting someone, creating the experience for them. That was fantastic. So then I moved to another hotel, which was in Zakopane, which is sort of 1 hour drive going further south. Beautiful mountainous area. Zakopane is a beautiful city where season goes all year. People ski half of the year and half the people hike, etc. So I was there for 5 years, and that's where I remember year 1999. That was the year when I opened wine, and it was Casillero del Diablo, which is just Chilean brand, really nothing. Really.
Yeah, it's exported all over the world.
Exactly, petrol station kind of your cups off. It was, I believe, it was 1996 or 7 vintage, and that would be 1999. And that was the moment when I was fascinated. Well, that's interesting. It would be really interesting to know more about the wine. So that's where I started to learn. Really tricky place. reason for it is because the Poland wasn't really that developed. I mean, you had a very small wineries with 100 different wines, etc.
Sure.
So I was there working for 5 years, learning. So in my mind, I was like always fascinated. Okay, well, it'd be really cool to get to work at the top places in the world. And I remember this very vividly. For that hotel, we always got Newsweek US. I think it was a London edition of Newsweek, which we got. I'm not sure how this newspaper was there. And I remember when I was always opening this first page, you got the two adverts. On the left-hand side, when you open from front page, it was Ritz Hotel, London, and on the other it was Rolex. And I'm like, that Ritz Hotel. So I was already then and there, kind of taking the names of these places.
Sure.
Cut a long story short, 2005, I got the opportunity to come to work in UK. And I was like, okay, I took the 2 weeks holiday in my old place to go check it out.
Good.
Okay, well, if you're going to do it then and there. So I went to UK in 2005. And I came there already with the list of 20 places that I need to get to work at one of these places, because this is going to be differentiating factor to the experience I'm going to have. And I was extremely fortunate to actually got to place of one of the, well, that was the really place, which was place of my dream. So in 2007, I got the job working as a waiter initially for Heston Blumenthal at Fat Duck restaurant. And I was there for almost 8 years.
Wow.
3 years of which was as a waiter, going through the ranks to the
Sure.
Head waiter kind of.
Yeah. What I love so far about your story is, one, these vivid moments that you remember that put you on this journey, like that opening of the wine bottle, like literally opened up something inside of you. Yeah. And put you on this path. That's pretty incredible. And then I love the fact that you started, your work experience in a hospitality environment. I think if everyone could, it would be almost, required training to be, someone who can adapt to the world, be open-minded, stay curious. Because when you have to extend hospitality as a career or as a job, you quickly learn how to empathize and how to extend and make people comfortable. And so wouldn't that be a great, talent that we all could possess and refine, as well as you have on your journey? I share that too. I started off working in the hospitality industry because my father was a titan in the business, and it was, it came naturally to me for sure. And so I think it's I think there are incredible qualities that you learn and it can be as a server, as a waiter, as a host, as, working on a property where you're having to greet people and extend hospitality. I think it's essential. So bravo. So then you've arrived in London, and now you've developed a career here, and you're finally into some fine wine, advising. Let's get into that a little bit more. And by the way, I want to preview a question for you to think about, and we'll ask and answer toward the end of our time together. And that is, like, if I come to London, or if other friends of yours, we're friends, I come to London, we're going out. We're not going to fancy restaurants, right? But where would, like, the locals like you, go and take me to London to say, like, forget all the fancy stuff. This is where we go to get a fantastic meal. And we're going to have and the meal is the evening. We're going to relax. We're going to be here. I know the chef and the team, and everyone's going to go. So think of like one or two, because I love to travel, and so does our audience. And when they travel, they want to be able to also take us up on this recommendation. But going back, what are your? I'm assuming Chile may still be a fine wine. It is a fine wine region, but where else now do you really kind of call your favorites and you anchor your appreciation for wine?
Yeah, so I love passion, and this is sort of 70-80% what I do now, is Burgundy, white and red Burgundy. I just find it, it's a fixation, really.
Liquid gold, we call it liquid gold.
Yeah, I would take it as a compliment. So just a quick step. So I was there till 2014. From 2014, I left FedDAC. I did my master sommelier exam, which I didn't accomplish. I passed twice my practical, twice my theory, twice my testing exam. I never passed the theory, which again, in hindsight, well, you can think about it. It's maybe if I would do this, it didn't really matter, because then I went to work for Jason Atherton, Paul Street Social, for 2 years. Then from there, I pivoted to more of a business side of the wine, worked for fine wine investment companies as a head of fine wines, Cloud Wines. I worked there for 5 years. And in 2019, I set up my own company, which is LJK Wine, which really does very, very simple thing, which helps individuals and companies accomplish their long-term objective in fine wine, collecting, buying, selling, etc. So it worked really extremely well. Coming back to so that's what I do currently. But the Burgundy really fascinated me for the flavor, aroma. Pinot is, to me, very, very special. So on looking at I didn't do the master sommelier exam. Okay, but what can I do differently to really learn? And it is still really something interesting that I have discovered. It took me a very long time to get it, but I'll share it with the listeners because I think it's very interesting. There is three ways, if you think about it, to learn about wine. One, you can sit in a book and you can read all about it, right? You can get the video, podcast, etc., right? That's the theoretical part. You have idea and you have somebody else tells you about it. Okay,
sure.
You learn something about it, right? There's a second way of learning, which is probably bigger immersion. Okay, you've got the restaurants which have prolific wine lists with those wines. Then you get a bit more of an experience because then you open them, you can taste a little bit, etc. You can become a member of a group. You can organize these things yourself. There is a really third way, and that's really the kicker. That's really one that's going to make all the difference for you, which is go to famous domains and work the harvest with them. And don't anyone who tells you it's impossible, because I've done harvests in some of the world's most renowned domains. My first harvest in 2018 was with the Freddy Mounier, GF Mounier in Chambord-Musigny, picking the Musigny's, Bon Mas, Les Amoureux. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever done, but the joy of it, you're going to really have completely different understanding of the Burgundy. Then I worked harvest with my all-time favorite domain Amargousseau in 2019. Then I did 2020 with Thibault Ligier-Belair. So I went to so that you really have another layer of expertise, and that leads to business opportunities, because few domains I import to UK and I sell it directly to my clients. So I think that's an interesting part. Now, going back to your question, where would be two spots to go for a drink?
Sure, let's go there.
So think about this three and don't listen.
Before we get to the,
if anyone tells you this is impossible, trust me, it is, because I've done it. All you need to do is write the letter.
Yes. Who wouldn't want free labor during harvest? I've also worked.
You're getting paid.
Yeah, you get paid, sure, but you get,
they can't do it, so you get paid very little money. But
sure.
The main reason why you go there is for
the experience. For the experience,
yeah.
Well, you've enunciated. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you can go from a textbook, you can go from a low risk environment by tasting wines, in a restaurants and collecting yourself, even at stores where the wine comes to you. And then your third point is like, no, you go to the wines instead of the wines coming to you. And if you're fortunate enough and you can, you experience a critical moment in the winemaking process during harvest, where it's busy and yeah, it's. I would even say that it's not even necessary to do a harvest, which is labor intensive for sure. But it would still be the idea, if you can't do that, then at least going to the vineyards themselves and seeing and meeting the people and breathing the air, the same sun and as the vines themselves at any time of the year, whether the dormant winter month or spring where buds are starting to appear on the vines. And everyone knows this experience of the wines taste better at the vineyard. And it's not just because the lavender is in the air and you're on vacation and already in a mindset to enjoy this. It's more, I would argue, that the wine itself have not bruised from the conditions it suffers when it's transported. And from France to London, it's not so far, but 6 weeks on the water when it comes to the U.S. Can be a long time, and another 2 weeks stuck in a port in traffic. And then by the time it reaches, its destination, it's been jostled around. And at certain times of the year, it can be brutal in terms of what it goes through.
When is the best time to ship to US in your from my perspective, from your expertise?
So those who cut costs would ship at the most ideal times on regular containers in November, December, January. Maybe December, January, and February, the coldest months of the year across the Atlantic. But outside of those 3 months, it can be quite hot. And as an importer of these organic wines, champagnes that we bring to the U.S., we're part of the 5% that ever put their product into a refrigerated container. So it's held at 13 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit, and that protects the wines from its most brutal, dangerous, part of the voyage. And again, it all comes down to, it just doesn't taste as good as when you're there, either in California for Americans or, certainly in Europe. And that's because they get bruised. So the reason why we put it in a refrigerated container for these particular wines and organic champagnes is that it breaks the distance. By being held at this constant temperature, it's as if you're transported to the wine itself. And the experience of tasting it in your home, even if it's spent a couple of days or hours in a truck for 6-8 weeks, it's been protected where it needed to be.
Oh, yeah, it's a massive difference.
It gets you right to the cellar door in terms of, hey, the way they're tasting it is exactly the same way I'm tasting it, which is not the case if it's put into a regular container. So I'm glad you actually brought that point up.
That's for sure, yes.
Yeah. So we know your favorite regions, and I completely agree with you. I think Burgundies and white Burgundies especially are like the, get me dancing, get the shoulders, what would you say? What would you say is the best part of, describe for me, if these are your favorite wines, describe for me the fuller setting of where, what would you be pairing these wines with? Who are you with? And what is the most ideal wine tasting experience shared with others that you can think of?
I'm not that big. Okay, so what is it paired with? I'm not really fussy with the
good.
What for magic.
That's good. So it could be with pizza, you're saying?
You can, yeah, sure. Why not? Anchovies and the double pineapple on tomato sauce, if you like it. So So what I would do, you almost reverse it, as long as it's nothing too spicy, etc. Because it's very personal, and I think you can try some of the combination, but typically we don't really. Means when we do the group testing. So I've got one of my favorite place for wine dinner, for wine lunch and wine dinner is we've done it twice. I eaten them many times, and it's the one of the place to go to when you're in London, and it's called
okay, all right.
La Trompette.
What's it called?
La Trompette in Chiswick. It's the one Michelin star restaurant which does effortlessly one Michelin star cooking that is fantastic. You go, you look at the menu, you choose one starter, one main. You can have the cheese before dessert, etc. 3-4 course, very, very easy, extremely well cooked, very tasty food. The sommelier, he understands what you need exactly. He's got experience. Donald is the guy who's the I forgot his surname. Anyway, I'll send you the details. We can tag them in as well. So that's one of the places. If you like a little bit of a fancy, but it's not over the top. It's very well priced and it's very.
What's the name again? What's the name of it?
La Trompette.
La Trompette. Got you. Trumpet, like a trumpet. La Trompette.
Really great place. I really like it. I think it's fantastic.
What neighborhood? What neighborhood of Shoreditch?
Huh? Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea is the part of London where they at. Now there is one more. So that's the fancier stuff. I really like for good bottle of wine, more of a celebration type of place, but I really like it. But it's very easy. It's very accommodating in the sense that, okay, you can bring the bottle, they charge you corkage, no problem. It's very good, well-priced wine list. So I think everything is there and they're very easy to do it, which I think a lot of the restaurant now, it just makes me laugh. No, you can't bring your own wine. No.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Really? So from that end, they're very good. There is another place in London which used to be run by my mentor who sadly passed away to COVID a few years ago. But the place is there and is worth checking out. Is called the Arches Wine Bar. The Arches Wine Bar. Arches. The Arches Wine Bar.
Arches Wine Bar.
Very quirky. Harry put so much junk in that place, like decoration. It's an extremely atmospheric place. You're going to love it. It's a wine bar with small wine list, but it's cozy, it's easy. Bring your own bottle. And Harry used to be a mentor of mine, massive collector, massive lover of fine wines, great knowledge, done it for years. And it was always very funny because it was, and now it's changed a little bit. There's a new operator there. It's still worth checking out. But when Harry ran it, today's Friday, right? We're recording this at 3 p.m. Normally, I would get phone call at 2 p.m. from Harry. Hey, where are you? He says, I'm at work. Yeah, but you need to come. Is everyone here? We're going to drink this. So it was a meeting point of all fine wine traders in London.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And Harry was sitting at the end of the bar, he looking like his best customers, his own best customer. And it was great. And still is really worth checking out. It's a really cool place. It's extremely well priced, extremely easy to get to.
Sure.
It's a Swiss cottage. So this particular location, we're really talking about 20 minutes from central London. So
okay.
We're very, very, very well positioned.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
One more, I guess, is worth checking out, which could be more challenging, but I think it's worth checking out. There's a wine club called 67 Pall Mall, which I personally like, but this is a private members club. So just drop me a message when you're in London. Let's go check it out, guys. So be happy to show you around. It's really cool. It's really
Love
cool.
It. Love it.
But there's a lot more, I'm sure.
Love it. Well, let's end there. Lucasz, I cannot thank you enough for sharing some of these poignant, milestones on your journey, and certainly for sharing with us your excitement. I come back to our original word about the experience of wine, your favorite region, white, Burgundies, and a little bit about how to appreciate the wine, about actually making the effort to go and visit more than just reading about it or tasting about it from afar. So I can't thank you enough for being part of What's the Finish. And I look forward to more conversations with you and certainly connecting the next time that I'm in London. Thank you so much, Lucasz.
When are you visiting? London.
It's a good question. I visit France before I visit London, but I will get there. I
Let me know when you're in France as well, because I'm in France quite regularly as well. So I think we might actually easier to connect there than here in London.
Perfect. I look forward to it. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.